Hi, welcome to MedPulse Academy. Today we are going to talk about dermatology and some basic principles of dermatology, starting with skin and some basic understanding about our skin. So that would include skin function, layers of skin, types of cells, and other structures. So we're going to start with the functions of the skin. Skin regeneration promotes wound healing. Let's see. Over here, someone got a wound over here, right? So this is our inflammatory phase, that is our proliferative phase, and that is last one is our remodeling phase. So how the skin regeneration will promote wound healing? How does it actually do that? So you will see through this blood vessels, our new platelets will come and they will start to make a blood clot over here. Then the epidermal cells present on the margin, they have the strong ability to reproduce. They will reproduce and will start closing off the margins, and the skin will be intact once again. Why? Why is it so important to close the wound and make the skin borders become intact, and so there is no open wound? Why is it so important? Because it has to act as a barrier. So there are, let's say, many dangerous things, or we can say microorganisms out there, which are we can say bacterias and viruses. So if bacterias and viruses, they want to enter in our body, our skin will act as a barrier and will try its best to keep them outside. So if it's there is a, let's say, open wound injury, we have to take antibiotics to keep ourselves safe from these bacteria, but we don't have much defense against viruses. So we use antiseptics and cover the wound with some proper dressing, because we have to keep them outside. Our barrier is compromised at that stage. So skin acts as a barrier, and that is a very important function of the skin. Our human skin is the largest organ of our human body. It makes up about 15 to 16% of our human body weight. It regulates temperature. As you can see in the dermis, there is capillary. This capillary can undergo vasodilation or vasoconstriction, which will help us regulate our temperature of the skin. Epidermal cells of the skin have the ability to continuously shred and reproduce. So we can summarize the functions of the skin into four main functions: protection against ultraviolet rays, wound healing, regulates temperature, acts as a barrier. So those people who have white skin, they are more prone to ultraviolet damage through sun rays. And people who have a darker skin tone, because they have more melanin in their skin, which is a pigment which protects us from the excessive sunlight. So those people will have a better ultraviolet protection in their skin. Wound healing. Skin reproduced to promote wound healing. Regulates temperature. The blood vessels in dermis helps regulate the temperature. Acts as a barrier. It acts as a barrier against microorganisms like viruses and bacteria. As you can see, there is a capillary over here. This capillary will dilate and will let go of extra heat. And we have a sweat gland over here, which will produce sweat secretions. So these two combined, they will produce a cooling effect on our skin, and it will help regulate the body temperature. So let's come towards the layers of skin. There are three main layers of our skin: epidermis, dermis, and hypodermis. The topmost is epidermis, as you can see, epi for top, then there is dermis, then there is hypodermis. Skin cell types. There are four types of cells which are usually found in our skin: melanocytes, Merkel cells, Langerhans cells, and keratinocytes. So over here we have Langerhans cells, which are actually immune cells. We have melanocytes, which produce melanin, which is the pigment which is responsible for our skin tone. Merkel cells are present in our basal lamina. So melanocytes. As you can see, we have a melanocyte over here. It has dendritic appearance. it produces melanin, and the melanin is responsible for our skin tone. More melanin, darker the skin tone. So these cells produce a pigment called melanin in the skin. They are dark and dendritic. As you can see, they have dendrites, dendritic in shape. Langerhans cells. These are the immune cells which are responsible for antigen recognition and presentation. Merkel cells, they are neuroendocrine cells essential for light touch sensation. So when someone presses on the skin, so these Merkel cells, they will understand or comprehend how much pressure is being applied. They're actually called like light touch sensation cells. Keratinocytes, they are filled with keratin and provide structural support to the skin. So, sublayers of epidermis. There is a very interesting mnemonic here which you can use to remember them. That is, come, let's get sunburn. So C is for corneum, L is for lucidum, G is for granulosum, S is for spinosum, and B for bacilli. Stratum corneum, stratum lucidum, stratum granulosum, stratum spinosum, stratum bacilli, and the last one is basement membrane. So you can see them over here. The top one is stratum corneum. Beneath that is stratum lucidum. Then we have stratum granulosum, stratum spinosum, and then we have stratum bacilli. Sublayers of dermis. Dermis also has further two sublayers. The upper layer is papillary dermis, and the lower layer being reticular dermis. As you can see over here, from here, this part is the papillary dermis, and this one is the reticular dermis. Other structures in dermis. What kind of other structures we can find in dermis? So in our papillary dermis or in our reticular dermis, we can see capillaries. We can see capillaries in both of them. And immune cells, they're actually found in the papillary dermis only, but sebaceous glands, apocrine glands, and hair follicles, they are found in reticular dermis, the lower layer of the dermis. Thank you. That's all for today. And in our next lecture, we'll talk about something more interesting and the next lecture of our dermatology series.